Africa. What does the rest of the world actually know about Africa? If you went up to the average American adolescent and asked them to tell you everything they know about Africa, what do you think they would say? Where would the world be without Africa? How much influence does Africa have on the world today? These are only a few questions that Dr. Jean Kennedy is faced with on a daily basis. As a college professor, Dr. Kennedy must ask herself if her students are actually conscious of the effects Africa has on today's American society. Are they aware that we share more similarities with the motherland than differences? Black History Month was Dr. Kennedy's opportunity to introduce her students to the complexities of the African culture. In February of 2011, she decided to organize the students of her Women's Studies class in an African fashion show.
Well, again, it being a Women's Studies class, this particular class that I teach actually takes a perspective from Women's Studies from the Western perspective. So I wanted to incorporate some of the international flavors to that, and with it being African American Month celebration, I thought this is good. So what I did this year was I did a in-house fashion show. I was very pleased the way it came out. So we took the same fabrics and broke my students up in groups. I had like 5 groups, and one had to identify. One was a reader, one was the model, and one was the wardrobe person. And so students had to work together in teamwork. So that was part of why I did that, because it was developing their team skills, but also their creative artistic skills. They took that fabric, they had no pins, had nothing other than the fabric, and they had to wrap themselves in a way that they could fashion this outfit. And then they gave a little bit of history about what the kente cloth was, where it came from, what was involved in the prints and so forth. So that's where the reader in each group came.
And then do you have someone who will be reading some of the materials?
Yeah.
Ah, Lordy, we got one scene ready to go. Okay, group number 2, where are you?
Dr. Kennedy led her unsuspecting students out of the classroom and into Fresno City College's student lounge area. From there, they would be split into 5 different groups. Each group had one reader to tell the audience about the fabric being used, 1 or more fashion consultants, and 1 lucky person as the model. But before the actual show began, some of Dr. Kennedy's students came forward to describe how certain kente cloth is made and what purposes it serves throughout various African cultures.
Hi, I'm Liz. Okay, about African fabric. African fabrics are some of the most interesting and distinctive fabrics in the world, representing all of Africa's colors, wildlife, people. African fabrics have different characteristics depending on the region where they are made.
I'm Denise. Okay. Do I have to use the mic?
Yes.
I'm not nervous. Okay. I'm not okay. Most African fabrics are 100% cotton are used to make traditional and modern clothing. They are also used for patchwork and quilting, textile tailoring, embroidery, accessories, or bags. They are made for hard weather and work and do not tear easily.
Okay, I'm Louisa. Fabrics from the West African, Ghana, and the Gambia region include not only cotton, but damask as well. Hand-dyed batiks are popular, and many Native women use this process in a handful of regions in West Africa. The hand-dyed batik process uses tying of the fabric, dipping wax onto it, or stitching it in order to create a resistance to the dye.
Everybody act natural. As the students pile into the conference room to dress their models, many seem unsure about the project. They turn to Dr. Kennedy for some sort of advice, but she kindly informs them that they are on their own.
I'm trying to listen to jazz. That's the skirt. This is the top, I think.
Oh, yeah, put this right here.
This is the top. That's.
How about you put that right there?
That's the skirt. That's the skirt.
Who cares? We go with our imagination.
Exactly.
Creativity.
Creativity, everybody.
No, I'm just kidding.
Creativity.
All right, we put this right here.
No pins, nothing. Figure out what this is. Where the clients.
So we do it, okay?
Yes. You know, at first I was thinking they were going to think like, oh man, what is this? How do we do this? Give me some instructions. But I did not want it to be me telling them what to do. I wanted them to use their creative skills. No, that's okay. And read these instructions if you're not sure.
Okay, the whole center.
It's on you. Oh my God. It's on you. Wish you all luck. I'll be in here in about another 5 minutes.
While the models and their consultants figured out which direction to go in with the cloth, the students in the lounge watched a film that spoke about the cultural practices within various African tribes.
Women of Manga Niger. And it talks about, this program or this video is devoted to the women of the warrior tribe. Did you get that, by the way? Women and men, the warrior tribe. In other words, don't mess with these women. The women of the warrior tribe whose origin is ancient but unknown and which lives today in eastern Niger.
I can do a better one. Let me see.
This one, this is the big one. And let me just wrap it around you like a toga.
Yeah, why are we not supposed to stress it? Okay.
So, you want to just wear this one instead?
The students had a lot of fun experimenting with the different kente cloth, but weren't entirely sure if they were wrapping their models in a traditional African fashion.
You get it? But the problem is and it's just popping everybody out.
Many teams wrapped their models more than once to test different styles. Although many were initially lost, they seemed to be enjoying themselves too much to notice.
And happiness are part of the same feeling, which their traditions teach them to cherish.
Make sure you're getting those dances down pat.
Why don't you make this the ball?
It didn't take very long for the students to decide how they would wrap their models. The longer they worked, the more creative they became.
Okay, a bow. A bow. Okay, that's it. A bow. Okay, a bow.
Oh, how's that? A bow. My major is nursing. It's not dressing. No. I like your fashion. Come here.
For the teams who needed a little extra help, Dr. Kennedy left a reference page of instructions in the room just in case. Although many glanced at it for ideas, no one really relied on it 100%.
And who had the instruction section? Anybody in here that was going to just read the instruction section? Not in here? Okay. Yeah.
I was happy. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, we're covering her head. Dude. Okay, there.
Is it good? Okay, is it good now? Can you see? Yay! Can you see?
Yeah, she can see.
Look at her, girl. Look at her.
I think I'm going to fashion.
No, let's make it short.
I didn't do nothing.
All right. We're going to now have, ladies and gentlemen, your peers that will come out. Group 1 through 5 will begin to come out and enjoy what they have to present to us.
Distinguishing it from a Dinkra cloth, which uses a black print technique and factory-made Nutoma cloth. Originally, only the king or important chieftains wore kente cloth. Today, both men and women of this region wear it for special occasions.
Weighted spineless assist deft fingers in spinning the fibers into yarn, scrubbing the yarn with cassava starch before dyeing it and winding it onto bobbins makes it stronger.
And so I saw one guy, Caucasian guy, and that's significant for me to say this in what I'm saying, because he took some fabric and wrapped his head so that he had like an actual, hat on. And then he wrapped himself, and and he looked, it was fantastic.
Okay, this is our model, and about the kente cloth. Men wear those little hats on their head, and the cloth and the way that they dress symbolizes the way they are from. Each person from each tribe dress different. They do their hair different. If he were a woman, he'd have his different makeup. And every person in there, regardless of their gender, as a child, they get their scars. They get scars on their faces. And that also represents of what tribe they are from. So in conclusion, the way that women wear their makeup and the way that men and women dress and the scars on their faces defines the tribe that they are from.
Black means maturity. Green is for spiritual renewal and development. Blue is for peacefulness, harmony, and love. Gold is for royalty, wealth, high status. Pink is for care and love. Red is for death and sacrificial rites. Maroon means healing. Silver is serenity. White means purification. Gray means ashes, cleansing, and healing rituals.
Each kente cloth is named, and that name generally tells what the cloth signifies. There are over 300 different patterns of the kente cloth. Some patterns' meaning are commonly known while others aren't. Occasionally, only the weavers know the meaning behind a kente cloth.
All they had was this just folded up. They went in there and had to figure out, what the heck am I going to do with this? Don't you think they did an excellent job without any kind of instructions? Everyone had the same length of cloth and did this. The guys maybe had just a little bit of split here, and they took it and made themselves a headband with that. So I think they're to be commended. Excellent. Great. Thank you very much for your attention.
Students will never look at a kente cloth again without going, oh, wait up. I remember we did that in class, And so that's a good example of how we as faculty members can get students outside of the parameters of the textbook, because there's not a chapter in that book on African women and the continent weaving kente cloth and the stories that went behind that. So, yeah, I think it served its purpose.